bring, and she said, well, why don't you just have Jessica come talk about all the different options for the region. So Jessica thankfully agreed to do that. We really appreciate it, so take it away.
All right. So the Southwest Colorado Council of Governments coordinates the Regional Transit Council, which is a group consisting of regional transit providers, human service providers, government agencies, and just anyone else who has an interest in transportation options. Sorry, unfortunately I can't talk at night at the same time.
Yeah, could you start over? Because I'm
Sure.
supposed to take minutes and I totally
And you were
missed
writing
everything.
too.
So the COG coordinates the Regional Transit Council, which is a group consisting of the transportation providers in the region, human service providers, local government agencies, and anyone else who has an interest in promoting transportation options in the region. We meet on the third Friday of odd-numbered months at 295 Girard Street, which is where Housing Solutions is. So if anyone ever has an interest in attending, who doesn't already know about it, I'd be happy to send out agendas or information about those meetings. Before I jump into the transportation options, the COG was awarded some funding for a part-time position for 2020 to help the Transit Council promote maybe filling gaps, maybe working through some initiatives. So also if this group has ideas for needs or gaps that need to be met, or maybe where there could be a little bit of making the options better, making service better, whatever we can do to try to help, please let us know, because we'll be looking for how we can help the providers and the people in the communities. So I guess I can just go by counties. Does that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Archuleta County has a public transportation system. They run downtown Pagosa and then uptown Pagosa, and they're working on providing service to Durango. They are wheelchair accessible, non-emergency medical transport, so that's transportation to doctor's appointments. And then they have a fixed route bus service for the public to be able to use throughout Pagosa. There's also a cab company in Pagosa, Pagosa Cab. They will shuttle to the Durango Airport and to South Fork, and they'll also do deliveries if that's of interest to folks. There are several of the cab companies that will do deliveries of items that can fit and are legal within their vehicles, and some will do within the community, and some anywhere in the United States, they say, the continental United States. So that might be an option for folks.
And Jessica,
Yes.
I think it'd be helpful too to know funding sources. So like, for example, for Pagosa Cab, do they take Medicaid? Because
Right.
there's a lot of consumers obviously that use Medicaid.
Right, yeah.
Do you know how many vehicles they have? Pagosa Cab?
I don't.
Because I've called them before and they're like, we'll be there in a half hour or an hour, because it sounds like they only have one car. That's possible. So I'm like, okay, I'll hitchhike.
Yeah, they, Pagosa Cab and Bayfield Cabs, I know are smaller services, so
Okay.
I don't believe have as many vehicles available. So Archuleta County Mountain Express, the fixed route bus, and the on-demand non-emergency transport, they do take Medicaid. Pagosa Cab, to the best of my knowledge, does not take Medicaid. There's also Wilderness Journeys in Pagosa, and they'll also do shuttling services to Durango and east as well.
Jessica, can I
Yes.
interrupt
Yes.
for a question? My case managers over in Archuleta County are not able to get their clients connected with non-medical transportation.
With non-medical
Yeah.
transportation, okay,
You said they take Medicaid.
right.
So I'm just wondering what the barriers are there for our clients.
Non-medical to where?
Well, like to the grocery store or.
They do that.
Right.
Met does that.
Medical doesn't do that.
Medical does not do that, that's non-medical.
The difference,
That's
so
what I said, non-medical.
No, but I mean, it's the same, as I understand it. I mean, they pick people up, they have a senior bus that picks people up. Matt does.
But just because you have
they're
Medicaid
not
does not
doing Medicaid.
qualify you for transportation.
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question.
No, but.
Well, the state plan should cover medical. Martha?
I'm sorry, Sylvan, the difference is because HCBS transportation pays a bucket full less and is way more convoluted to get approved for and bill. So the taxi companies that provide non-emergent medical transportation for the counties may not provide HCBS services. It's a whole different process.
you're
So
saying-
I know that there are services in La Plata that, excuse me, that do offer, at least to a limited degree, non-medical Medicaid transport. But in Archuleta, I don't know that there are for on-demand for Medicaid. So.
Okay, oh,
Okay.
just looking for some
Yeah,
information as
yeah.
why, so.
And so,
Still barrier for sure.
right, and so yeah, hearing about these gaps is excellent information for us. You know, we have these bi-monthly meetings, and so reminders of what these gaps are is good information to have. So thank you all.
Yeah, because I know Sylvan, for our waivers, we do, like the punch pass, we pay for the punch pass, but that's the only transportation, not medical transportation.
Except clients don't get anything paid by us, so.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to make such a big.
No, that's a good question.
No, we need to know the barriers, so then we know how
Yes.
to show that especially, so Jessica can hear that.
And
to know how
Sylvan,
to
we
work
can,
out.
let's brainstorm, because we're approved. I don't know if we're approved in Archuleta County or not, but we've been trying to figure out a way to get over there anyway. There are people that go to Pagosa for infusions that aren't offered here in Durango. So if we could combine somehow to be able to pay our expenses, maybe we could do something.
Okay.
And so Wilderness Journeys Pagosa, they are also, they do take Medicaid for non-emergency medical. And those are the services that I'm aware of in Archuleta County. Dolores County. Please stop me if I misrepresent anything. They have set fares for public clients and do on demand for senior meals, special events, medical appointments, and they'll go to Cortez, Durango, Monticello, Moab, Farmington.
Sorry, who did you say they were?
This is Dolores County Senior Services.
The senior service.
Yeah. So they have set fares for public clients to pick up and then donations for senior clients. They are wheelchair accessible and take Medicaid.
Did you repeat the service to Cortez, Monticello?
Moab, Farmington.
Moab, wow, and Farmington.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a 100-mile radius.
Yeah.
That's good.
They do take Medicaid for non-emergency medical and are wheelchair accessible. And that's what I know of in Dolores County.
And that's what we have.
Okay.
That's all from the senior center. That's
How
the
many
only
vans?
game in town.
It's
Is
the
it-
only game in town.
Is it one van or two?
We have 10.
10?
We have 3 buses and 7 vans.
Goodness.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, 6 vans and an Explorer. But,
Okay.
Impressive.
Cortez Cab will come to Dove Creek,
Right.
and they do take Medicaid, non-emergent, so.
So moving to La Plata County, there is Animas Transportation. They're a cab company, so on demand, and they do take Medicaid, non-emergency medical. Bayfield Transportation, and they will do statewide transportation with notice, and to some degree in New Mexico. I think that it's dependent on availability. And they do take Medicaid for non-emergency medical.
Who was that again?
That's Bayfield Transportation.
So who was the name before it? I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Oh, she's taking good notes, so.
And I also have a flyer that outlines some
Yeah,
of
okay.
the highlights.
The names of the places.
Right, yes. So, so you're welcome to take those and share them at your organizations. I can print off more. You know, this is information that we want to have out there so that everyone knows what the options are.
Okay.
There's also Buckhorn Limousine, and they will travel to Farmington, Pagosa, Telluride, Silverton, and they will do trips to Albuquerque. On demand, they'll do deliveries. They do not do Medicaid.
Do they provide like VAs, VA transportation and the VA center, or is that totally separate?
I'm not sure how they do charging if it was for a veteran. So, with doing trips to Albuquerque, then that would allow someone to get to the VA clinic.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm not sure how they would handle the
The
payment for that. So.
To my knowledge, there's no payment mechanism right now for that. It's just a volunteer VA van.
Volunteer basis.
Okay. You don't have the costs down for all these, right?
I do.
Oh, is it in the
Yeah.
brochure?
It's not in the brochure, no. I captured whatever costs I could for folks, so if you have any questions or if you wanted me to run through generally what costs are, then I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too fine a detail, but if it's useful, then I can get into that.
Okay.
So Durango Cab is actually a very similar service it's the same service as Cortez Cab. They offer a 20% discount for senior services, so that may also be useful information. They also travel in a 100-mile radius, so Cortez, Farmington, Pagosa, Silverton, Telluride. They'll do deliveries, and they do take Medicaid for non-emergency medical. Durango Transit is the fixed route bus through Durango. They do, and so most of the bus services do request exact change when entering the bus. But most of them also offer some sort of punch passes or monthly passes or ways to pay in advance at the ticket counter or online or by phone. So they have bus passes available, and they also have a low-income pass available. They do take Medicaid.
Sorry, Jessica,
Yes.
how much is the low discount?
So that they have, please call us for details. So it's an application process, and so I'm not sure how much reduced
Okay,
it is.
maybe on the sliding fee scale.
It might be, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That information is on their website and then also at the transit center.
Okay, thank you.
And then La Plata Senior Services, so again, if I'm misrepresenting anything. Wheelchair accessible rides for seniors, for lunch activities, medical appointments. So reservations requested, and it's suggested donations based on the distance traveled. Yeah, wheelchair accessible, and they are, you take Medicaid for non-emergency.
You know, we haven't done Medicaid
Yeah,
in
okay.
a very long time.
Oh, okay.
Just because Southwest Rides does, so.
Okay, all right.
We have not done that.
So you
for
just
2
provide the
years.
transportation for the
Yeah,
donation?
with the suggested donation.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
How many vans and buses do you guys have?
We have 2 vans and 2 buses.
Just an idea.
But on a regular basis, you only have 2 drivers, correct?
Yes,
Are you still trying to hire someone?
just hired somebody.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Nice.
And that's,
And that is
drivers.
right.
Drivers
And
is
lack
what we
of
talk about,
drivers
yes.
has been a challenge.
Yes.
Poor Jessica. Yeah, every other month I was like, I need a driver.
And we're hearing that consistently from every, everyone who hires CDL drivers. It's not only transportation, but yeah, it's a challenge.
What's the challenge? Is it competitive wage, or they can't pass
Wage.
the drug test, or?
No.
Okay.
It's the wage. The
Okay.
county's starting rate is $15.20, and I think it's very close to the city. We've done wage comparison plans, but when you have a CDL, you can make about 18 starting and above. So it's very, very low.
So Roadrunner Transit, they offer on-demand service within the town of Ignacio, and then they have fixed route between Bayfield, Ignacio, and Durango. They will do route deviations for individuals with disabilities with advance notice, if it's not too far off the route, weather and time permitting, kind of, if they can, then will do route deviations to be able to pick those up. All their buses are wheelchair accessible.
And they only have those 2 routes, right? Because I know we've had clients that have really struggled with if they miss a bus, like the 6:30 is the only way back to Ignacio. So do you know the times? Like, is it just like a morning and a night bus, or do they?
They have 2 mornings, 2 nights.
2 mornings, 2 nights?
And not even
Okay.
nights, it's like early evening.
Yeah, I know
Okay.
6:30 is the last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
I had a lot of seniors that needed transportation, so believe me, I know.
The Southwest Colorado Community Action Agency that runs Roadrunner also runs the Mustang line from Durango to Grand Junction. Riders can pay with cash upon boarding the bus, or else can buy tickets at the Durango Transit Center at the Montrose, their travel center, or the Grand Junction bus depot. Also, riders can connect in Grand Junction to the Mustang line that goes east to Denver, so there is a connection from Durango to Denver. It is wheelchair accessible, and yeah, so it if you aren't familiar with the service, it runs over to Cortez, and then up to Telluride, and then north to Montrose and Grand Junction.
So if somebody needed something to Denver, they could come to Ignacio from Pickles to get all these connections?
I
there?
don't know that they could come from Ignacio. I
Oh.
think that the route that comes from Ignacio to Durango is later than the bus leaves the Durango station. So it leaves the Durango station at 7:30
So
or
they
something.
just have to go to Durango then.
Right, yeah.
What was the name of that transportation?
So that's the Department of Transportation's Mustang service. So it's part of their bus service that they have throughout the state.
Except here.
Pardon?
Except here.
Right, yes. So this is their, this
Yeah.
is kind of their rural service. The Mustang Outrider is this north-south connection to Grand Junction. And then it's operated by Sococa.
Okay, so SoCo, and the Department of Transportation, they have a relationship?
Yes.
So they collaborate, okay.
And then, of course, there's Southwest Rides, who right now are currently only serving La Plata County. Demand response, wheelchair accessible, Medicaid, non-emergency medical. non-emergency medical trips for seniors, veterans, and individuals with disabilities. So they take Medicaid, and then rides are also free for their clients. And they offer free trips to anyone who needs it to the food bank, and they also sit to the monthly commodities distribution. So.
Is Southwest Ride Southwest Side for Independence? Okay, I just wanted to
Yes,
make sure.
yes, it is. Yeah.
Make that connection, okay.
So Montezuma County is, there's Cortez Cab. They are Medicaid non-emergency medical. They'll also do deliveries. They travel 100-mile radius, so Durango, Dolores, Toyac, Telluride. They also offer a 20% discount for senior citizens. And then there's Montezuma County Public Transportation. They'll do demand response in and around Montezuma County. They will go to Dove Creek for medical appointments. They require some notice for those trips. And they will also come to Durango for medical appointments, Medicaid medical appointments. They're wheelchair accessible, and senior citizens ride on a voluntary donation basis. And then also you had asked about insurance. So as far as I know, insurance companies won't provide funding for non-emergency medical trips. For an emergency medical trip, I imagine that a rider could work with their insurance company, but it sounds like it would be working with individual insurance companies if they would even provide it. So, yeah, it doesn't sound like it happens.
Okay, thanks, yeah, I just wanted you to kind of.
Right.
Show
Yeah.
what options.
Right, yeah,
you know, would be
absolutely.
possible. Okay.
So, generally the buses are requesting exact change upon entering the bus or passes in advance, and then generally the cab companies will accept credit cards. And then of course the services that it accepts Medicaid. So is there any other, did you want me to get into cost for routes or anything else?
What about San Juan County?
San Juan County. There are some services in Durango that will go to San Juan County. There are no services in San Juan County. That's a huge gap.
So the AAA has gas vouchers.
Okay.
So, I mean, just, I don't know if this group knows, but probably the network knows, but so it's basically they have to, we pay the gas station in advance, we create vouchers, we have a board member that holds them, and then the consumer takes the trip, they come back with receipts, and then they get a gas voucher for $20 to fill their tank.
All right.
So it's kind of a reimbursement.
Right.
Which, and they can give that to someone, a volunteer driver, or they can drive themselves.
Okay.
So that's good for you to know
That's good.
if you want to share.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Put that in the notes.
Thank you.
So let me talk a little bit about a patient that I have who needs transportation to Durango. He is on Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid. He's not a senior, but he is disabled. And he has used up his amount of transportation, according to him, and I'm not sure because that's why I'm asking this question, his transportation monthly amounts. Do they get set monthly amounts, like they can only use it one time or 3 times or whatever for medical? He needs to get to the cardiologist in Durango. What other options would he have?
There's no limit on straight Medicaid medical, non-emergency medical transportation.
No limit, okay. So here might be the other issue is he does owe some back Medicaid funding because he was overpaid or, so they're withholding his food assistance, I know that, so I'm not sure if they're withholding the transportation also.
Call
They
Dave
can't-
Nelson.
They can't, yeah, I don't think
They can't, I don't think that's legal.
Did the
I don't
client
think
tell
they
you
can do
that, or did?
The client did, so he
Oh.
said he was overpaid $1,000 in food assistance, and so now they're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with his transportation.
Yeah.
No, and so he believed that it had to do with, that's why he could only get one transportation trip over to Durango.
Yeah, the one shouldn't have anything to do with the other.
Okay. All right. I called his caseworker, but nobody has called me back, and that was yesterday. So, just thought I would ask you guys, because you're the professionals.
No?
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions for Jessica?
So if that were the case, if he could not, or he did not have Medicaid, is there another option for him to get from Cortez to Durango? Is there the voucher, the fuel voucher?
That's only.
The ours is
This is
in
San Juan
County,
County.
right?
Yeah,
We have
San
one.
Juan County.
that goes
Oh,
on, we
only
don't
San Juan.
have-
we don't wanna compete with the other services, so we don't offer gas vouchers anywhere but San Juan,
Okay.
because there's nothing there.
Well, it seemed like, aren't there other Durango resources for him?
I think Durango Cab could help.
I'm sorry.
I think
listed
Durango
several
Cab could
things.
help.
I mean, yeah, Cortez or Durango Cab could physically get him over, but as far as payment options,
Well, they take Medicaid.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you talk to the social worker, a few times I had a resident that needed transportation because there was no medical services here that she needed. So they paid Durango Cab to take her all the way to Denver and back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
need to talk to the social worker.
Okay.
And you know, Montezuma County Transportation might be able to, it, you know, would be worth calling them out
Okay.
and seeing if that would be
Okay.
possible.
And because he's on disability and he's not a senior, would that be something, or does he have to be connected with your services?
Well, we're only available in La Plata County at this point.
Okay.
We've talked about meeting at the county line with Montezuma County Transportation. That's kind of weird. You know, at this point, it's gonna come down to whatever community is willing to subsidize us,
Okay.
you know?
When you say
Okay.
social worker, you mean Medicaid?
Is who's
Yeah.
gonna be our key? Okay, thank you
I mean,
guys.
is that the DHS, Medicaid?
Yeah, that would be.
Caseworkers through.
That's what Miriam said, but yeah. that's- I'll try my editing skills on this too, huh?
Great, well, Jessica, thank you so much. We really appreciate you kind of taking in all of the providers and giving us a snapshot. And yeah, I appreciate also bringing the cards and the flyers so everyone can take it back to their organizations and
Yeah.
disperse it, so.
And would you mind if I hang out for a little while?
Of course, you